said I got this, none of this radio pop shit. I dropped this, turning back the clock to rock shit. I cop it, said knock knock, I'm on this. I'm hot bitch, like a hot bitch, it's top
I lock in, I got this, radio drop this. Hot shit, just watch this, I fucking promise. Too lit, do not miss your chance to cop this. Will you capture it, or just let it slip? Or they say I wanna be him, cause my rap is tight. But really they just give a fuck that I ain't black and white. I'm not anyone else, man, I'm one of a kind. So sit back, relax, and listen one more time. I said I got this, none of this radio pop shit. I dropped this, turning back the clock to rock shit. I cop it, said knock knock, I'm on this. I'm hot bitch, like a hot bitch, the top lit. I said I got this, none of this radio pop shit. I dropped this, turning back the clock to rock shit. I cop it, said knock knock, I'm on this. I'm hot bitch, like a hot bitch, the top lit. I love the girls that fuck with my music, getting referrals from the girls love to booze it, party and lose it. That's the life I'm choosing, not losing. That's my 2 cents, so use it. You know I'm back, as a matter of fact. I'm better than ever, never been better. I know that I wrote that. Sipping on some coke and no jack, could stare and bitch and take a pic. Kodak, I threaten the game, cause money and fame, they don't affect my brain. It's fucking all the same. I'm sick of hearing about these Insta names with Insta fame. Take a pic, sick, you're lame. A quick fix to shame, you lick dick for fame. A thick chick is slain, a chick picked too late. I think I've gone insane, I think I've lost my brain. And honestly, I'm a motherfucking novelty. Said I got this, none of this radio pop shit. I dropped this, turning back the clock to rock shit. I cop it, said knock knock, I'm on this. I'm hot bitch, like a hot bitch, the top lit. Said I got this, none of this radio pop shit. I dropped this, turning back the clock to rock shit. I cop it, said knock knock, I'm on this. I'm hot bitch, like a hot bitch, the top lit. Said I got this, none of this radio pop shit. I dropped this, turning back the clock to rock shit. I cop it, said knock knock, I'm on this. I'm hot bitch, like a hot bitch, the top lit. I lock in, I got this, radio drop this. Hot shit, just watch this, I fucking promise. Too lit, do not miss your chance to cop this. Will you capture it, or just let it slip? Or they say I wanna be him, cause my rap is tight. But really they just give a fuck that I ain't black and white. I'm not anyone else, man, I'm one of a kind. So sit back, relax, and listen one more time. I said I got this, none of this radio pop shit. I dropped this, turning back the clock to rock shit. I cop it, said knock knock, I'm on this. I'm hot bitch, like a hot bitch, the top lit. I said I got this, none of this radio pop shit. I dropped this, turning back the clock to rock shit. I cop it, said knock knock, I'm on this. I'm hot bitch, like a hot bitch, the top lit. I love the girls that fuck with my music, getting referrals from the girls love to booze it, party and lose it. That's the life I'm choosing, not losing. That's my 2 cents, so use it. You know I'm back, as a matter of fact. I'm better than ever, never been better. I know that I wrote that. Sipping on some coke and no jack, could stare and bitch and take a pic. Kodak, I threaten the game, cause money and fame, they don't affect my brain. It's fucking all the same. I'm sick of hearing about these Insta names with Insta fame. Take a pic, sick, you're lame. A quick fix to shame, you lick dick for fame. A thick chick is slain, a chick picked too late. I think I've gone insane, I think I've lost my brain. And honestly, I'm a motherfucking novelty. Said I got this, none of this radio pop shit. I dropped this, turning back the clock to rock shit. I cop it, said knock knock, I'm on this. I'm hot bitch, like a hot bitch, the top lit. Said I got this, none of this radio pop shit. I dropped this, turning back the clock to rock shit. I cop it, said knock knock, I'm on this. I'm hot bitch, like
What is up, everybody, and welcome to FPL Today Live. Thank you for joining us, all 6 of you, because of course there is a Premier League game on, Arsenal versus Sheffield United. It's at Sheffield United, and also Elite FPL are streaming again. Come on, guys, give me a night when you're not streaming. You're always streaming. How am I meant to compete when you're streaming every single day? But much love to them, but don't go and check them out. Stick with me, as that could be my daughter waking up, which would be really inconvenient because I've waited and waited for her to go to sleep, and I was pretty confident she was asleep. But anyway, we'll carry on. First off, we are going to talk about my team and how I've done over Game Week 8, and then of course we will get into your questions, some questions we've got from Twitter, and some topics that I just want to talk about as well. So stay tuned for all of that. Thank you for joining me, of course, with a Premier League game on. I'm here for the people without Sky Sports, so here I am. Anyway, let's rip off the plaster, because we all know that unless you were very, very lucky this game week, you probably didn't have the best of game weeks. So, we have, of course, my team, and as you can see, I'm on 30 points, and I have nobody playing in this fixture that is currently going on. Lundstrom is literally the last person on my bench. I fancy Arsenal to get a goal in this game. I fancy it to be Aubameyang as well, because, of course, Aubameyang is one of those players that I was very, very close to picking and just didn't pull the trigger on. A bit like Hudson-Odoi, who I was very close to pulling the trigger on and putting in my side. A bit like Grealish as well, who I also didn't put in my side. But the big story of my game week was, of course, that VAR did completely mess up my game week. Of course, McGinn could have had an assist if VAR hadn't got involved. And also we have the Mane goal with the Trent assist that was also disallowed thanks to VAR, which was absolutely gutting. So, yeah, Sterling and Tomori. That's literally it. Of course, I didn't put the captaincy armband on the right player. It would have been better on Sterling, but it would have only got me a few more points. This is my wildcard team as well. So you'd hope when you play your wildcard to have a really good next game week, but it just hasn't been the case. Off of my wildcard, we brought in the likes of Tomori, who was a good choice. Sionku didn't keep a clean sheet. We brought in Mane instead of Salah. That would have been the correct choice if if Mane had scored any points, because Salah didn't play. But because Salah didn't play, a lot of people are getting people off the bench. A lot of people are getting a Rico, or maybe even a Lundstrom off the bench, or someone else that gives them points. So I've lost some ground to people that have got lucky with the fact that Salah hasn't started, and then they brought in some points off the bench. Sterling did return. He stayed in the side. Maddison and McGinn brought in. Of course, Vardy was the one to score points. He then did that celebration in relation to the whole thing between the Rooneys and the Vardys. Colleen and Rebecca having a bit of a tiff. Have a bit of an issue with some things people have been saying about Jamie Vardy, personally, about him not being that famous, but we'll move on from that. And then Abraham and Wilson, of course, in game weeks when I expected them both to get points, neither did. How on earth was Bournemouth versus Norwich a 0-0? Both sides hadn't kept a clean sheet all season. And then in game week 9, of course, both keep clean sheets when everyone hedges their bets on the fact that they won't. So yeah, that has seen me drop to 2.449 million. Game week rank of 3.149 million. I expect that to go down after this fixture, seeing as I don't have anyone playing. And it's not really looking that great for me. Now, the transfers I'm considering, and we'll go into more detail in hopefully a second stream this week before game week 10 starts. I am very interested in bringing in Callum Hudson-Odoi for McGinn or Grealish for McGinn, because I feel like Grealish is just that little bit more of a differential. If we have a look at McGinn, he is probably owned by a higher number of people, 12.9, and then Grealish is owned by 4.2. And to be honest, the price is the same, so I'm kind of leaning towards going for him. He does play more advanced. I feel like he could be a very important figure for Aston Villa. The only problem is the next 2 fixtures don't look that good. And then if I did bring him in, you're probably looking at those 2 fixtures not being that great either. So there's no rush on bringing him in. As far as Hudson-Odoi goes, I mean, the fixtures do look good, but do I really want to triple up? I've tried that with Liverpool. I've tried it with City, and it hasn't paid off. Will I be willing to try it with Chelsea when they've got Burnley, Watford, Crystal Palace in the next 3? They do have City, but then it's another 4 fixtures where you'd expect them to be able to do all right. And then, of course, there is a couple fixtures there that aren't ideal, Spurs and Arsenal. But again, the way they're playing, you could think they would get some points there. So those really are the ones I'm considering. I am considering, once the fixtures get a bit tougher for City, to move Sterling to Salah if I can figure it out somewhere else. I may get rid of Tomori just so I'm not tripled up on Chelsea if I do bring in Hudson-Odoi. Those are the transfers I'm really considering. But to be honest, it's about being patient. I haven't looked at all the stats yet, but in the games I saw parts of and the Match of the Day and Match of the Day 2 that I've watched, De Bruyne looked like he could have got points. Sterling looked like he could have got more points. I'm excited for what he could potentially do with Benjamin Mendy back in the side. Mane, of course, had a goal disallowed. McGinn had an assist disallowed. Maddison, he did have a chance. I don't really remember Maddison having a great chance, though. Abraham could have scored points. He was my captain, of course. Then you've got Rico, clean sheet. I could have had that in my side. Alexander-Arnold could have had an assist, but it was disallowed because of VAR. So the fact is, there's points that could have happened for me. They just didn't. So I'm trying to be patient, but it is getting very, very difficult to be patient. So that is it for my team. Hopefully that gives you an insight to how my Game Week 9 went and what I may do going into Game Week 10. But we will hopefully go into more detail around that either in this stream or another one. Also, if you are still watching, not really getting great numbers because of the game that's on and so on and so forth, should be streaming hopefully with the Wildcats sometime this week. But I need to get all of that sorted. So hopefully that will be a thing. Go check out the Wildcats, FPL Wildcats, type it into YouTube, subscribe, and you'll get more of my opinion and, of course, some other great YouTubers' opinions as well. As we will now go into some questions, and we'll start off with Twitter because if I am correct, my chat isn't exactly popping. Again, I blame Elite FPL. Like, do they ever take a break? So, we'll start at the bottom. Why are good players not giving us points? And I believe there's something else similar. Why is every one of my decisions a terrible one? So we've got that from Dabuka, and Chandran Kant. To be honest, I think it's very unlucky. Like, if you look at, it depends who you're considering good players. If you're looking at Sterling, Salah, Mane, they've been getting points. It's just not what we've hoped for. Also, because they are so expensive, you'd be expecting them to get enough points that when you put the captaincy armband on them, that the points are significant. Then as far as cheaper players, I suppose it's probably people missing the points. We're getting the data and we're getting on players after they've had a good game week. And that means we end up with bad game weeks more regularly because we're taking people out who then could potentially score points. We're putting people in who have scored the points and then are naturally going to have a game or two where they don't score a goal or assist because not even the best strikers in the world score a goal and get an assist every single game. But you have to remember and look at around a lot of people that probably play this competitively are getting bad game weeks recently. There hasn't been really high scores by most of the people that I'm aware of their teams. That means the people that maybe aren't as embedded in this community and maybe aren't as competitive, maybe making decisions a different way for their favourite players, just looking at fixtures and not looking at stats, all that kind of stuff. Those type of players and players that have picked their team at the beginning and not touched it are probably having better game weeks when we're having bad ones, the ones of us that are continuously looking at the stats and looking at the fixtures. So that is probably why right now we are having bad game weeks and making what seems like bad decisions, even though the stats probably back up your decisions, apart from the actual goals and assists and clean sheets, which again, I am not getting many clean sheets. It seems really hard to read this season. So hopefully that will turn around. Hopefully it will change. It may not. We may have a whole season where the obvious isn't actually obvious, and the fact that we're chopping and changing our sides, chasing the points, means we're always missing. It is possible. It's a game of skill and luck. We're trying to guess, like someone that's gambling, what will happen each game week, and no one is God. No one can predict it 100%. We can do our best to put the odds in our favour, which is generally what you're trying to do with all this information that you might take in for FPL, and hopefully that puts you in good stead. Debuka also asks, right, Digne, keep or flip? Got 2 free transfers and had intended to ship out, but have problems elsewhere if he's worth keeping. So, having watched that Everton-West Ham game, first of all I want to say West Ham were spineless. There did not seem to be any fight in that West Ham side, which was very, very disappointing. Because their performance was so bad, there's the potential that Everton looked good because West Ham was so bad. Now, Everton did look a lot better. There was some definite positives from that game. Gomez looks very important for that side as far as creating chances and running that midfield. Tom Davies looked a lot better than I have seen him look before. Sidibe looked like a potential option as well. Digne was getting further forward. Seemed like he had players that could actually score a goal for once, which could benefit him. Iwobi looked good in that role just behind a striker. Richarlison, I still prefer him out wide, but he didn't look terrible up front. Theo Walcott looked good. Sigurdsson came on off the bench and scored a great goal. So there's definitely things we could take away from that game and put it in a box where we're like, okay, maybe keep an eye on that, because I'm still of the opinion that it could be that West Ham was so bad that you ended up getting a good result from Everton. I could be wrong. I'm not always right, trust me. I'm often very wrong. Just look at my rank this season. But if I was on Digne and I hadn't taken him out yet and I wasn't wildcarding, I would look elsewhere. I think there's probably, you're likely to have more pressing matters than Digne. If we have a look at Digne's up and coming fixtures, because we have to remember Digne right now is second for chance creation, which I'll confirm in a second. Brighton have Albion next. Maybe you don't need to get them in this week. Spurs, who knows what Spurs are going to show up. Spurs are a side I want to talk about. Southampton, Norwich. Again, you'd think Everton could do something in those fixtures. I mean, then after Gameweek 14, you might want to jump off for a little bit. But who knows? Everton did have bad fixtures at the end of last season and then really performed very well at the end of last season, getting points, and a lot of people had dropped their defenders, especially Digne. So I would say Digne probably isn't one you need to jump off straight away. If we go into Fantasy Football Fix, who is a sponsor of the channel, please do go check them out. They are a great site for all of your information, like fixture analyzer, like stats, where I've built, as you can see on the screen right now, my own stats tables. I've got defenders, I've got goalkeepers, midfielders, forwards. I've also got by price range, and I've also just got the WILDCARD project, which was something I tried, but it's probably going to go on the back burner just because time-wise I'm starting to struggle for time. It's around Christmas. Work gets a bit more difficult around this time of year. The kids are taking up more of my time, so we might go to this kind of format a little bit more. But enough about me and a bit more about defenders. So Digne right now. So it would be good if you watch. I probably modified the settings so it's not ideal for the stream. And by the way, if you wonder why I keep looking down, I have the Arsenal game on my phone right now. And of course the internet stops working. Okay, there we go. So wait, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 clean. Yeah, that's not high enough. So I've got it set last 6 game weeks only. Interesting to see that Robertson looks like a better option over the last 6 game weeks, just stuff of what I saw there. But if we go for the whole season, okay, so if we go to FPL points, Robertson and Trent have to be the highest 2, surely. Still, I'll be shocked if anything else came with this. Although the fact that I'm streaming the game may be why my internet is running so terribly slow. Okay, we get there eventually. So 42 points to 41. So although Alexander-Arnold has risen in price and Robertson has dropped in price, you can see a significant, well, not a significant difference in their points. Both have 3 assists. Alexander has the 1 goal, same clean sheets, very similar amount of shots. In fact, those underlying stats are quite similar. Attempted assists is where Alexander-Arnold is a lot higher. And expected assists is a lot higher as well. But Robertson gets more bonus points. But anyway, if we look at chance creation, because it was Digne we were going to talk about. Attempted assists, Digne is second, only to Trent Alexander-Arnold with 21. Assists resulting in shots on target, 15. That's the same as Trent. Expected assists slightly lower, so he's not creating as good chances as Alexander-Arnold is, but he's the second best defender for it. I'm surprised to see Young there. I don't suggest going for Young. He's not got an assist or a clean sheet. He's created 16 chances with 7 being on target. That's the same as Robertson, which is surprising. And then Rico, 13 at 4.2 million. I don't think you can go wrong with Rico as a bench player when he has this assist potential. And also goes and grabs himself a clean sheet when no one's expecting it. So 24 people watching, which is slightly better than earlier. So thank you for joining the stream. So for the person who asked about Digne, I would definitely keep him for game week 10 because the fixture is decent enough that he could get a return for Debuka. So don't get rid of Digne just yet. Let's check the chat before we go to another Twitter question. So would you transfer out Aguero at the moment? Okay, so a lot of people are worried now because Jesus seems to be getting more game time. It seems like the rotation somehow may be worse at Manchester City than it was last season, which would be a surprise. With Jesus on form and with the Champions League probably being such a big priority for Man City this season, I expect if Aguero is the main man still in Pep's eyes, I'd suggest that he's going to play a lot in the Champions League. There may be some Champions League fixtures in the group stages where Jesus can play instead of Aguero, but when the fixture is the type that Pep feels confident in this side winning, I think Jesus may start, which could affect Aguero's minutes. As far as wide players, Sterling, potentially he's a bit safer, but you still have Mahrez, you still have Bernardo Silva. I'd say that could still be a rotation of 3, but a rotation of 3 in my eyes is better than a rotation of 2 when I see Sterling as the main wide player for Manchester City. With Mendy coming back as well, I think that could allow Sterling to play a little bit more central with Mendy providing the width. I haven't looked into it, so I do plan on doing so, but there's the potential that Sterling improves his performance when Mendy's on the pitch, a bit like Aguero improves when Kevin De Bruyne is on the pitch. So, would I transfer out Aguero? You have the likes of Aubameyang right now, who's slightly cheaper, who I would argue is a little bit more nailed on than Aguero, and is probably a bit more important to Arsenal than Aguero is to Man City. I'm not saying Aguero isn't important to Man City, but right now, if Aubameyang doesn't score for Arsenal, who is scoring for Arsenal? So I would probably transfer out Aguero. I did look at trying to get him into my side in my wildcard over the international break. I ended up with Sterling instead. That Sterling was almost a Mount, and then Connolly was almost a Aubameyang. So I almost went with only one City, which, the way this game week went, I'm quite happy I had Sterling, but because it would have been even worse the game week. But yeah, I just feel like I want 2 big hitters in midfield. I know De Bruyne could start to count as a big hitter, but I'm tempted to try a double up on Mane and Salah when Liverpool's fixtures get good. And I think that needs me to be in a situation where I have 2 premium midfielders right now. But yeah, for me, I'd get rid of Aguero. Oh, Daz Dark, I have no idea why you're not getting notifications from my channel anymore. That is a bit disappointing. That might explain why I've had a bit of a bad start to the season view-wise, but that is not really much to point of the learn to speak JNO. Although I am speaking completely non-stop, so do excuse some mistakes. Are we all victims of hive mentality? How can we be overlooking David Silva when he's such good value for money? The issue with David Silva is mainly 1, the rotation, but it's 2, the fact that we see players like De Bruyne and Sterling, and we just assume they're going to have a higher ceiling to their points totals. So Sterling can of course have a game where he scores a hat-trick. De Bruyne can get 3 assists in a game. Silva is one of those that is very consistent. And if we have a look at Man City, and we look at the points actually scored, Silva is very close behind Sterling. So you could quite easily have De Bruyne and David Silva, and then imagine what you could do with the team elsewhere. Bernardo Silva isn't even a bad shout, but David Silva is very good value for money, and right now he's matching. The issue is he hasn't usually matched the big hitters like Sterling before. And again, it's a bit... You mentioned hive mentality. Who was it? Thiago Ferreira. So you mentioned high mentality, but also jumping off of Sterling and De Bruyne because of slightly lackluster performances, again, seems a bit like a rash decision, because we know what these 2 players are capable of, Kevin De Bruyne and Raheem Sterling. So to suddenly, just because they're not performing straight away, jump off them, does seem like you're bolting off the cart before you've given the horses a chance to run. Don't even know if that was a good analogy, probably wasn't. But it would be interesting to have a look at all 3 against each other. And the internet seems to have improved, so that is a plus. So if we go by FPL points, give the internet a second to catch up with my speed, because I'm just too fast for this internet. By the way, what is everyone drinking? I'm literally just drinking juice because I didn't have any money for alcohol. I'm waiting for that YouTube money to come in. Those YouTubers will know when it comes in. Anyway, so we've got Sterling, we've got De Bruyne, and we've got Silva is on the first page. And then we can click show selected by. So we can see that goal involvement wise, we've got 11 for De Bruyne, 7 for Sterling, and 7 for David Silva. So that is why David Silva's so close to Sterling points wise. It's because goal involvements are the same. Expected FPL points, which you can see at the end there, is actually a lot lower for David Silva. So he's the site suggesting that he's outperforming his underlying stats. If we look at shots, 13 to De Bruyne's 19 to Sterling's 29. Shots inside the box, again you're looking at 11 to 4 to 5. So Silva does have more shots in the box, or sorry, more shots on target. I'm actually reading right now. David Silva has more shots on target than De Bruyne, but a lot less than Raheem Sterling. Shots inside the box, De Bruyne's got 12 to David Silva's 8. Sterling's got 26. 11 big chances for Sterling, 3 for De Bruyne, 4 for Silva. Now, that suggests that Sterling's in the kind of goal-scoring areas where he should be scoring more. Although he has scored 6 in 9 game weeks, which isn't terrible. And that is higher than his expected goals. Big chances for De Bruyne and Silva are lower, 3 and 4. Expected goals a lot higher for Sterling again. However, when you come to assists, again, Raheem Sterling, De Bruyne higher. Attempted assists that result in a shot on target, again, they're higher than Silva. Expected assists, again, much higher for the other 2 than it is for David Silva. I say much higher. It's only 0.9 higher for Sterling than it is for Silva. Expected FPL points, Sterling's meant to have scored the most. And if you actually look, his expected points is very close to his actual points, 54.5 to 53. De Bruyne is outperforming his stats, getting 66 to 51.7. Silva's outperforming his stats, 51 to 42.3. However, he is almost half the price of Sterling, which could help you build your team elsewhere. It comes to your squad management. If you, like me, want to be able to have Mane Salah double up, or maybe a City double up, you need those premium price players in certain slots, which then stops you from being able to get David Silva. So what you could do instead is compare David Silva to some players that are scoring around the same points that are around the same price. So Mount's a bit cheaper. Mahrez is more expensive. Bernardo Silva, Grealish. Could look at McGinn. Could look at Maddison's probably the closest price-wise that's easily brought in for Silva. So in fact, let's just do a direct comparison of those two. So if we compare those two, Silva just outperforms him on expected points. Shots on goal, Maddison actually has more shots on goal, more shots from inside the box, but one less on target, same amount of big chances. But you can see expected goals is higher for David Silva. Of course, the actual returns is better for David Silva, but you could argue Maddison and Leicester have had some tough fixtures. Attempted assists, Maddison's higher. Assists that result in a shot on target, Silva's is actually higher, 7 to 5. Potentially that's because he's got better players around him. And expected assists is at 1.3 for Maddison to 1.9 for Silva. So Silva does seem to be, potentially, and we'll just check by selecting some of those other players, the best option around that price bracket. We'll give these others a chance to outshine him because I think they're generally the ones a lot of people are looking at. So that would be my shortlist of midfielders around that price range that I would consider. And if we go to expected points, just as a gauge point, and this is why I'm so annoyed at myself for not bringing in Grealish instead of McGinn. Of course, that game for Aston Villa over the weekend has improved his stats. But I just, because he was more advanced, I considered it, and then I still went McGinn. More of a shield move than a sword move when I potentially need to be going for sword moves right now to improve my rank. Expected points for Grealish is 45.7. Expected points for Mount is 43.3. David Silva 42.3. Then you've got McGinn, who is cheaper than Silva by almost 2 million at 41.1. So I would argue that the problem with people ignoring Silva is the fact that if you're looking at just City, De Bruyne and Sterling seem like better options. If you're looking in that price bracket, Mount seems the best option in that price bracket. If you're going with two, potentially some people are just going for a cheaper player. Some people just have too many Man City already. If you've got De Bruyne and Sterling already, you may have a Man City defender, that's your free. Or if you've got De Bruyne and Aguero and then a City defender, that's your free. So I think that's why so many people haven't been looking at David Silva. But I mean, you can't argue with those underlying stats. I'll just argue that right now, even though Silva's got more points, do I see that continuing? I would probably go with Mount just because that 2 points difference when Mount should have scored more according to the stats. And Chelsea do look like a good side with some good fixtures now that will score goals. Unfortunately, they didn't do the business against Newcastle, but they've done very well, Chelsea. And they look like a team that can score similar amounts of goals to your Man Cities and Liverpools in certain fixtures. So that would be my take on that question. I feel like I talked about that one for a while. Anyway, we've actually had some more people join the chat while I've been ranting and raving. Brian Yule says, normally you'd expect people knee-jerking and taking out the likes of De Bruyne, Sterling and Salah to be punished, but it just isn't happening. I'd agree, it's just people are keeping faith. And to be honest, that's I still believe that's the right move. The issue is, how long can you keep faith without it? One, like destroying your positivity when playing this game, but two, you need results eventually. I've been a person that's kept on Harry Kane in seasons when potentially I should have jumped off. But for me, like, we're looking at these players. 2 weeks he's not returned. One he didn't even play. But then 17 and 9, 13, 11. That's 3 out of 9 double-digit hauls. And then 3 game weeks where he got some sort of return. So you're only looking at 1, 2, 3 game weeks where he hasn't got you something. So I think De Bruyne is definitely one that needs more time. If you look at Sterling, I'd say massive score in game week 1. Wish I'd captained him. But then that is pretty disappointing for someone as Sterling. But again, there's 4 games out of 9 where he hasn't returned anything. 1 he didn't even play in. So when he's been on the pitch, there's 3 games out of 8 that he's not returned in. Again, people are waiting for that to come back again. Another big haul. And if he had played in this Watford fixture, who knows what he could have scored. And then Mane, as he's right there on my team, he's got 3 double-digit hauls with 1 single-digit haul. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however. 5 games where he's not had a big return. If you don't count the Norwich game because he didn't have many minutes, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 8, where that's not great, to be honest. I wonder what Salah is compared to that, if we have a look. I'm guessing that Salah is probably more consistent. So 1, 2, 3, and then he didn't play. So 3 out of 8 where he's not got a return, which I'd argue is a little bit more consistent. See, I worry about not having Salah. After I expected something from Mane in this game against Man United and it didn't come. So that is a bit annoying. So I am a little bit worried there. But anyway, I still think some of these players should be given time. If we look at, I think Aguero is pretty... I mean, if you're getting impatient with Aubameyang already, then after 2 game weeks where he's not scored, then I think you're being a bit unfair on the lad, seeing as he returned for 7 game weeks in a row. But if we look at Aguero, again, we're looking at someone that has literally returned in every game up until game week 6. Sorry, game week 7. He didn't play in game week 9 and he didn't return against Wolves. So he's pretty much returned in every game he's played in apart from the last game he played in. So I think you still have to show some patience with the likes of Aguero and other premium options. You alright, Matthew? How you doing? Thoughts about Mendy and Cancelo? I mean, I haven't seen enough of Cancelo to really have an opinion on him yet. Mendy, if he can stay fit, he's a great option. Potentially someone I would consider instead of Alexander-Arnold just because of the price. All about stuff Pollies. Speaking of removing Liverpool defence, VVD, in order to get Vardy. I mean, Leicester's fixtures look good. Leicester look good. I wouldn't be against doing that. I would suggest that Alexander-Arnold or Robertson are worth the money. But if it's VVD you've got, I wouldn't see a problem with lowering him to get in the likes of Vardy. I would be worried about Otamendi's situation because when Pep goes and plays Rodri and Fernandinho as his centre-backs, that makes me think that potentially Otamendi has been ruled out of the team just because of certain mistakes he's made. So I'd be very, very worried about bringing in Otamendi. I maybe wouldn't transfer him out straight away, but that situation would be a bit of a worry for me. Matthew Ashton, what's happening to you this season, dude? Mate, I'm just getting every call wrong. The thing is, I'm considering players that are scoring points and then going with someone else. But I'm very happy that you're doing well, Matthew. And to be honest, the main point of this channel is to help you guys. If you guys are doing well, then the point of me making these videos is still relevant. Would I like to be doing better myself? Of course I would. Of course. But yeah, I'm just not. Do I think I'll make a comeback? I'm hopeful. I'm not going to promise it because then I'll look like a fool if I don't achieve it. Is Son to Maddison a good sub this week? Okay, so I actually would love to talk about Spurs, and we can kind of do that while talking about Son. So for me right now, no Spurs player is an option for me, purely because I don't trust that locker room. Bit like right now, I don't trust Manchester United's locker room. I feel like there's too much negativity around there, and I feel like the tactics aren't right, and I feel like the managers are still trying to find out the solution to some deep underlying issues at both Spurs and Man United. Yes, Man United had a great performance against Liverpool, but that's one great performance against big rivals for them, and I need to see that more consistently at United. At Spurs, I just feel like that team is getting stale. It's been too similar for too long, and I think the drive that some of the players had when Poch first joined to prove themselves has disappeared. It's full of players that have been at the club for a considerable amount of time. If you pick the players that you'd probably consider the best starting 11, the majority have been at the club for most of Poch's tenure. You've got Hugo Lloris, you've got Danny Rose, you've got Vertonghen, you've got Alderweireld, you've got Dyer, you've got Lamela, you've got Dele Alli, you've got Eriksen, you've got Son, you've got Kane. All of them, as far as I'm aware, I could be wrong with a couple of them, have been there for pretty much the whole of Poch's time as manager. Meanwhile, the clubs that are doing well in the Premier League right now, if you look at Chelsea, if you look at Leicester, if you look at Liverpool, if you look at Man City, their sides look very, very different compared to what Poch's side looked like when he started. You've got Liverpool bringing the likes of Mane, Salah, VVD, Fabinho, Alisson, Trent coming into the side, Robertson. How long has Robertson been there? I feel like Robertson came at some point early in Poch's tenure. If you go Man City, you've got the likes of Mahrez, you've got the likes of Laporte, you've got the likes of Ederson, Mendy, you've got Rodri, you've got lots of players, although of course I would argue that the players that are at Man City that were there before Poch have integrated themselves well into that unit. But I suppose you could say they were refreshed by a new manager. Again, Spurs haven't changed their manager in that same period. If you look at Chelsea, they've been forced into changing their side, and Chelsea have been very up and down. Good season, bad season, good season, bad season. But they've changed their manager a lot, and they brought in players quite regularly. And now they've brought in a lot of youngsters. So again, the team is refreshed and all the players have something to prove. Club legends is a thing of the past. You don't really get club legends like you did back in the day of Manchester United with Sir Alex Ferguson. So I feel like a lot of those players are getting complacent and their dreams and aspirations are elsewhere, which means they are not doing the running that Poch requires them to do. And another factor for them not doing the running that Poch and his pressing system, or what he brought in with his pressing system, because they press a lot less now, needs for that pressing system to work is age. These players are a lot older than they were when they started. Kane is now 26. Son is now over 26. Sorry, I should have said Kane's over 26 or 26 and over. Son is 26 and over. Eriksen, Mora, all these players are getting into their late 20s. You've got Sissoko, Alderweireld and Vertonghen all over 30. This isn't the young side that it was when Poch first came in. I'm not suggesting they don't have what it takes to be elite players still, just saying they don't have the legs that Poch's initial system that he brought to Spurs requires, which has been able to run for 90 minutes, cover more ground than the opponents, and they're just not doing that. they've struggled to match the numbers of other sides that they're facing in kilometres run. And because they're not now committing to that style, they've changed the tactics, and it just isn't benefiting the players, and the players aren't as driven. You just have to look at who's wanted to leave. Eriksson, Rose, Alderweireld have all suggested or tried to get a move away from the club. Vertonghen's contract is running out at the end of this season, so the only player I'm really interested in is potentially Heung-min Son, because he still looks like the type of player that will give it his all no matter what. But I just cannot trust that Spurs side. The fact that they've got one of the worst away records in the league right now, for a side where you'll be spending quite a bit on some of their players, I just can't suggest going for Spurs until this ship turns around. So I would stay well clear of Spurs, and now that I've said that, you're probably going to see them do extremely well in the next game week. But that is my thought anyway on Spurs. Daz Dark, I would definitely upgrade Pookie to Abraham. Norwich aren't creating as many chances, and I feel like whilst at the beginning of the season I was like, Norwich looked like a good side here, Norwich looked the weakest after 9 game weeks to me compared to Villa and Sheffield United out of the promoted side. So I would get off of Norwich, which is disappointing because I thought there was a lot of potential there. Thank you, Matthew, for believing in me. We'll turn the ship around, hopefully. Exactly. The fact that you followed me for 2 or 3 seasons means you know I'm not usually this rubbish. Brian Yule, I would agree, a lot of Spurs seem to be playing out their contracts. I feel like Poch would have wanted to refresh his side a lot as well and bring in youngsters. I just don't think he was allowed to because Levy was trying to, in all fairness, make the club very stable. They've now got great training facilities, a great stadium, and budget-wise, they're making profit. So the club's financial health is amazing. But I feel like that has hurt how well they can do this season. So, we will go back to Twitter. Was double Bournemouth attack a madness? Not for Norwich, it wasn't. Everything suggested there'd be a lot of goals in that game, and there just wasn't. I wouldn't go double Bournemouth season long, though, personally. Purely because they are one of those teams that go hot and cold. And if you've got too many of them, you can have some terrible game weeks. However, the fixtures, I wouldn't say they're brilliant, but for the next 4, they've only got one tough fixture, although Newcastle could be difficult, they could be defensive. It is Newcastle away, though it is Watford away. Both of those could be difficult fixtures, actually. Wolves at home, you don't know what Wolves will show up. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't go double on their attack. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's merit to having Callum Wilson. There's merit to having Joshua King at 6.3. There's merit to having Harry Wilson at 6.1. Fraser has some pedigree from last season, so there's merit in considering him. But for me, I would love to make Callum Wilson Jamie Vardy if I could. Just not sure I could without dropping Alexander-Arnold, which is potentially something I would consider doing, because right now, and Lundstrom's going to get a clean sheet, isn't he? I'm not watching the game that religiously. I'm literally popping my head down every now and again to check the score. Are Sheffield United defending that well? Should I have played Lundstrom? Because Lundstrom's points could be a big difference in this game week, which is going to see me drop in rank considerably. But yeah, I cannot suggest that you double up on a Bournemouth attack. They're just not the type of side I'd double up on. Best Otamendi replacement. You have Trent, Rico, Tomori and Lundstrom. I mean, if you can afford it, Ricardo Pereira, I would suggest. Or even Chilwell. Although, yeah, you didn't say you got Sionku. So I would definitely take a look at Chilwell or Pereira. Because I believe their fixtures are pretty nice. Yeah, Arsenal there, but otherwise, that's a nice sea of green. I see seas of green, red arrows too. My ranks drop in. Huh? I'm singing. What do you want?
Just wanted to know what you were doing.
I'm singing.
To who?
To the stream.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
You got me off my flow. I was rhyming and everything. The wife was just wondering what I was doing. Shocking. Don't interrupt the stream, babe. I've told you. Anyway. I'm completely off track now, but Ricardo Pereira and Chilwell would be my shout straight off the top of my head. If we actually have a look at defenders. I really want to finish that song now. I'm going to have to play that back to myself later and then I'll finish it on Twitter or something. Why am I tilting it? It's a straw. Anyway. So if we go to FPL points, we could go to expected, but we'll just go to FPL points. What they've actually scored. So if you see, Pereira is the third highest scoring defender right now. 2 clean sheets. Van Aanholt, 3 clean sheets. Palace actually look like a capable side as far as defence. So that could be a great shout, because Van Aanholt is someone that we know can get attacking returns. He doesn't always necessarily show it as much as other players in the underlying stats, but we know he's a player that can return. You've got pretty much anyone from Sheffield, but you've probably already got Lundstrom. I would argue Doherty has improved in the last 3 or 4 game weeks as far as attacking return potential. Bolly, you could be looking at him as well. Seems a bit more secure way into that Wolves side. What are Wolves fixtures like? Because the thing is, for me, it's getting to that time now where I might have to start making some renegade moves. The fixtures aren't too bad, Arsenal, but otherwise it's pretty decent. If I dropped someone like Alexander onto Bolly, but that just seems so risky. But it might be time to make risky moves like that. But definitely Ricardo Pereira is one that's straight up there. Chilwell isn't actually... If we go to expected points, does Chilwell show up here? Not really. As far as chance creation goes, let's see if Chilwell pops up. No. Okay. So Chilwell's one of those that people just kind of suggest because every now and again he does pop up with something. But I wouldn't say the underlying stats are making him jump out. To be fair, where's Ricardo Pereira when I click all these? Or am I being blind? I was going to say, he's not really popping up either, is he? It's not like either of them... There he is. He is popping up for attempted assist 10, with 3 of them resulting in shots on target. As far as shots, he's only had 5. He scored 2 from 5 though, so maybe his choice of shot selection seems to be rather good. So maybe you could consider him there. But yeah, those would be the players I'd be looking at. And then we've got what to do with Mason Mount, because he isn't playing 90 minutes that regularly. So, as you can see on the Twitter, I didn't know why he was asking that question, because I'd have been... If I got Mount in when he was 6 million, I would be a very happy man. I've kind of been priced out of him now, which is very unfortunate. But 10 points, 8 points, 9 points, 6, 7. That's very good for a £6 million midfielder. But he's been substituted in the last 2 games. I'd suggest that in the Southampton game, it's a bit irrelevant. 79th minute, he missed out on 11 minutes. The one you'd be worried about is with, I believe the goal hadn't come yet, and Mason Mount got taken off. When did that goal come? Let's have a look. Oh, it doesn't give you time. Hopefully. Oh, it's in match stats. I should hopefully be able to find it here. Come on. Where are you? Well, I don't want this game. Grr. How do I select? Okay, that's annoying. I don't know where to find it. Because it's not live game week, is it? So how do I look at actual... Is it in more? It won't be in more. Play heat maps, that sandbox, comparison, FPL statistics. Fixture, it won't be there. Damn it, you have to look at it that quickly. That'd be annoying. Anyway, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I would suggest that he was bought off when the game definitely wasn't secure, which isn't ideal. As for Hudson-Odoi, I think it's way too soon to know if jumping to Hudson-Odoi is good, because he's played 3 games. He has returned in every single game. He played 79 minutes against Southampton, same as Mount, and then played 90 minutes against Newcastle. The thing is, Hudson-Odoi may be the new price riser, so I wouldn't be against suggesting it just to increase your team value. I would worry about rotation so it'd be very interesting to see if he plays against Burnley. But I am tempted by Hudson-Odoi. I prefer Hudson-Odoi to McGinn, and I think I prefer Grealish to McGinn. So I'm interested in both of them. So we'll see with that one. But I wouldn't be too antsy about Mount just yet. Potentially he got subbed off because they're worried about the fixture in Europe, and they want Mount to be in that one. So I would definitely keep your eyes on the situation, but I wouldn't be jumping off of Mount just yet. Michael Svedin, I'd say Jimenez is a bit of a worry because of Europa League. I wouldn't really risk it. George Wade also thinking Bolly. Pepe apparently missed an absolute sitter, so fine margins. Fine margins or not, Lundstrom is an absolute hero, and I don't know why I keep doubting him. I just should put him in my starting 11 every single game week, because Sheffield United, and I may jinx it, look like a very good defensive unit. Thank you, Daz Dark, for updating. Goal scored at 73 minutes. Mount was taken off 64th. So yeah, that would be a worry for me that he was taken off with the game still at 0-0. Brian Newell thinks at current prices O'Connelly is the one to go for instead of Lundstrom. I mean, the thing is, people have money tied up in Lundstrom. Did Lundstrom start even, to be fair? I don't know if Lundstrom started. But right now it says 6 points, so yeah, he has started. So if we... It's going to probably take me a bit of time to find them. But if we compare O'Connell, just out of interest, because I would suggest that Lundstrom's still the one to stick with, because he's out of position. I was going to say OOP. So let's have a look. Have I clicked defenders? Yes, I have. So that's all good. Brian Newell changed Cantwell to Callum Hudson-Odoi. I'd say that's a good move. He says because of the way price rises and falls have been. What happens to Kevin De Bruyne? No price rise or fall. Surely he was due a price fall. I'm not complaining because I've got him and I didn't get rid of him, but really? No price fall? That was shocking. I'm not going to lie. That makes me think that it's not just an algorithm at FPL. Sorry to say it. Like, shoot the messenger, whatever, but I'm sorry. How can I'm sure he dropped like 600,000 people sold him, and he didn't fall in price. Like, surely there's a fall in price there somewhere. Like, they need to be more transparent with how price rises and falls are done, because how are these prediction sites getting it so wrong? If the algorithm was just a basic algorithm, they should be able to predict it quite easily. So I feel like something's either been put in the way of these prediction sites figuring it out, or something's a bit shady there. I'm sorry, like, De Bruyne should have dropped in price. He should have. Shoot me if you think I'm wrong. I'm sorry. But I just don't get it how he didn't fall in price. I was ready to take the hit as well. I was expecting the price fall and thought I'm keeping De Bruyne anyway. And it never came. But we want Lundstrom and we want O'Connell. So Lundstrom, the highest scoring defender in the game. O'Connell not far behind. Baldock not far behind. So if we compare just those two. 1 goal, 1 assist for Lundstrom. 1 assist for O'Connell. Clean sheets. Shots 7-6. Shots inside the box, O'Connell higher. Expected goals a lot lower though. And then assists a lot. I'd still argue Lundstrom's the one to go for. Especially as if I sold Lundstrom, I'd only get 4.3. So I'd be losing value there. So for me, I'm sticking with Lundstrom. But there's some merit to your argument there. I'd just say big chances also in Lundstrom's favour. So I'd probably still stick with Lundstrom. Oh, Brian Yule, did FPL prices say you wouldn't actually fall? That's surprising, to be fair. Anyway, I feel like we are almost at the end of the stream, so thank you guys so much for joining. It's not been as busy a stream as usual. Fortunately, I did prepare some stuff, just because I thought this could happen, and I did get some questions from Twitter. Before I go, I feel like I want to introduce just a rant session, like where I just rant off of a few topics that have been happening in football, outside of football, you know, just because I feel like being a little bit different, and I'm indulging myself. So first off, I would love to talk about this whole thing that happened during the international break that entertained me for about a day, and this whole Rebecca Vardy and what is Rooney's wife's name? How have I forgotten Rooney's wife's name? Never mind. Rooney's wife and Jamie Vardy's wife. Apologies for not remembering. Colleen Rooney? I really don't know. Anyway, it's not the wires I'm actually interested in, because Rebecca Vardy, if she did it, she's clearly trying to get more money, trying to get more fame. She does seem like someone that wants to be famous, when a lot of wives at the game don't necessarily chase it like Rebecca Vardy does. And Rooney's missus has been one that hasn't really pushed herself into the limelight. And if I had to guess who was right, because I really don't think there's enough evidence for me to 100% sit here and say Rebecca Vardy is guilty, I would lean towards her being guilty. My issue is the fact that I've seen a lot of creators or content creators that are football content creators suggest, and the main one is True Geordie, and I'm a big fan of True Geordie, but I have to disagree with him here. He's of the opinion that Rebecca Vardy is chasing fame because she wants it that much and she's not famous, and that her husband has had one good year and now she's trying to become famous, whereas Rooney's been famous for a long time, and that's why his wife is entitled to be considered famous. Jamie Vardy's been famous for a while now. He was part of that Leicester side. So football fans, Jamie Vardy is famous. He was part of that Leicester side that won the Premiership. He's not had one good season. Jamie Vardy's had a couple of good seasons. I'm not personally sure if I'm allowed to put who scored on the website. Actually, it's on my camera anyway, so I can check it out without bringing up who scored on the website. But if I go to Jamie Vardy, I reckon off of the amount of good seasons he's now had, his wife's entitled to be famous if anyone's wife is entitled to be famous of a footballer. So, if we actually have a look at his past seasons, he has scored 16 goals. That's the championship, so yeah. But 2015-2016 season, he scored 24 goals. He then scored 13 goals. He then scored 20. He then scored 18. This season, he's scored 6. Has he scored 6 this season? Why am I so surprised at that? Has he actually scored 6? I mean, don't get me wrong, I've been looking at Jamie Vardy to come into my side, but I didn't actually realise he'd scored 6. Yes, he had. He's got 2 games where he scored 2 goals. So, I'm sorry, he has been good and on form since 2015. It's now 2019, almost 2020. He's had a good 5 years of being a consistent top scorer in the Premier League. So he is famous, especially if you're a football fan. Yes, he's not Rooney famous. It's going to take a lot for you to be on Rooney's level of fame. You have to be one of the best English players to be that level. But Vardy has the right to be considered famous in my eyes. And then if a wife is allowed to be famous because their husband's famous, I'd say Rebecca Vardy's famous. People know her. Yes, she chases the fame, but she's still famous. Don't take away what Vardy's achieved. Yes, Vardy may not be the nicest guy sometimes, but he is still a great footballer. And the other topic I wanted to talk about was that Manchester United-Liverpool game. Now, there's lots of different opinions with that Man United-Liverpool game. I do believe that Liverpool weren't at their best, and the international break definitely didn't help them. The fact that it didn't have Salah didn't help them either, and it did look like they didn't exactly know what to do to solve the problem that Manchester United were presenting them. And Manchester United definitely had a much better performance. But the issue I have is Liverpool have dropped 2 points to Manchester United. It was going to happen at some point that they dropped some points. You're going to have games where you just don't perform as well as you should. Yes, there's been probably a few more of them than they would like, but they've still been getting results. They've still been getting points. I've seen people arguing that they don't have a plan B. Like, they play it down to either their forwards or their wing-backs and they score that way. Now, this is the side that have managed to beat Barcelona without Salah. They have had injuries to fullbacks and still won games. They have rested Trent because he's not the greatest defensively compared to some of the other defenders, and they've still got results. So one bad result, and it's not even that bad, it's a draw at Old Trafford, and I know that doesn't mean as much as it used to, but it's still a draw away. Because we're holding to such high standards, and also Man City, as soon as they have a bad performance, we all jump down their throats. Or they really should have had a plan B. They really should have done better in this game. Yes, they probably should have done better in the game. But it's going to happen. They're going to drop points. They're going to find games more difficult than they expected to. As for Man United, some of those players in that team will know what Manchester United versus Liverpool at Old Trafford means in the grand scheme of football history. So they would have upped their game for it. Rashford, Daniel James both looked a lot better in that game than they have done in previous ones. Daniel James actually has impressed me a lot this season. And again, I think it's youth coming in, like I spoke about with Spurs earlier. Youth coming in, wanting to prove something and having the hunger to, one, wear the badge and get a result for the team they are playing for. Manchester United are the side that have given Daniel James the platform to really up his profile. So he's really eager to do well and put in good performances. They now need to do that when they go and play Norwich. They now need to do that and up their game and keep it at that level when they play Bournemouth. They now need to do that and up their game and get another result when they play Brighton. It's all well and good getting a point against Liverpool, But the fact of the matter is they're still 13th in the table. They need to become more consistent. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer needs to be more tactically flexible. Because he got a point from a Liverpool side that didn't come up with a plan B on the day when they played Manchester United. Maybe they took Manchester United a bit more lightly than they usually would. I think also Klopp has a bad record at Old Trafford, so that could be something there. But let's not suddenly get on the bandwagon of Liverpool. They're rubbish without Salah. They've done plenty without Salah. Let's not get on the bandwagon of Liverpool don't have plan Bs. They have plan Bs. They've put them into practice before. And let's not get too excited about Manchester United. They need to carry on. They need to take this as a platform and push forward with it if they want to get top half of the table. Because, to be honest, the way some teams are playing, I'm not sure top 6 is necessarily a given, even if they do up their game. Anyway, we're going to end it there. Just before the Arsenal game finishes, actually. Probably not the best time to end it, because I'll probably get an influx of viewers if I actually stayed on after the game. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully we're going to be doing more of this live streaming, and then I'll make... the plan is to make clips from the live stream, so for people that want my opinion in shorter sound bites, it will be available for you, so you don't have to watch the whole stream. I'll take the good bits from the stream. Hopefully there are some good bits. But of course I will, because I forgot the last live stream, to put it up live as well. So you will be able to tune in live for the whole live stream if you didn't see it because you were watching Arsenal versus Sheffield United. And I keep saying Arsenal first, even though Sheffield United are at home. So guys, please feel free to check out all the links in the description down below. Please also do subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you know when my videos go live. Although, I believe Daz has said that it's not working for him. Or someone said it wasn't working for him. Matthew might have said it. So yeah, that's not great. But also hit that like button. Hitting that like button really helps out the channel. Boosts up the video. And if you have any other questions for the next live stream, put them in the comments of this live stream or any other videos, and we'll try and go through them and pick out some of the best ones for the next live stream, which will hopefully be on Thursday, but I have to check with the missus. But I do plan on doing this more often so I can interact with you lot. Good luck in Game Week 10 if I don't see... Game Week 10? Yes, it is Game Week 10. Good luck in Game Week 10 if I don't chat to you guys before that. I've been JNO, this has been FPL Today, and remember, it's all about the game.
Said I got this, none of this radio pop shit. I dropped this, turning back the clock to rock shit. I cop it, said knock knock, I'm on this. I'm hot bitch, like a hot bitch, it's tough. I lock in, I got this, radio drop this. Hot shit, just watch this, I fucking promise. Troll it, do not miss your chance to cop this. Will you capture it, or just let it slip? All they say I wanna be in, cause my rap is tight. No really, they just give a fuck that I ain't black and white. I'm not anyone else, man, I'm one of a kind. So stand back, relax, and listen one more time. I said I got this, none of this radio pop